When you're running your business, you have to be very cognizant of your cash or you won't have any. You got to know your cash every day. And my preferred number would be 6 months supply of working capital. Bulletproof is 12 months. 6 months is strong, but you got to be on top of the cash. If you have a 30-day supply of working capital and you have a market hiccup, you're going to run out of cash. How you can be the greatest salesperson on the planet.
Welcome to the Rethink Sales Show. My name is Derek Kelly, and I am joined by Jim Shorkey.
Give me some.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
And Jim, what mindset did you have as you moved from, there was one dealership. What mindset did you need to move through and learn through? What was your process of going from one dealership to two and then two to 6 or 7 when you retired? How did you think about that? Why did you make the certain decisions that you did? Talk me through that process, because a lot of people think about opening a second location or adding a revenue stream. What was that process like?
It really wasn't so much a process as it was me focusing on running my business and what could I do to maximize revenue, which is money in. What could I do to minimize expense, which is money out? And the difference between revenue and expense is profit. I know that sounds basic, but that really is a very important idea. And so with the idea of making a profit in the one business, over time, I was able to develop more and more working capital. And working capital, again, overly simplistic, if you take in your business or your household, take your total expenses in a given month, all the expenses, whatever money goes out. And let's just say for picking a number, let's say it's $100,000. So if it is in fact $100,000, that means you need $100,000 to run that business for 1 month. But that's not good. It's not good at all. You want to have a day supply of working capital, bare minimum 3 months. So if it is $100,000 that you spend every month, then you want to have $300,000 in the bank, cash in the bank, to be able to withstand the ups and downs of business, the downs, I should say. And so to really be bulletproof, you probably want to have a 12-month supply of working capital, which in this case would be $1 million. And that's probably a bit heavy, cash heavy, but I'll tell you what, when things go bad, you're going to be able to withstand that badness. So let's just talk about it. Let's talk through it. If the expenses are $100,000 a month and my revenue goes to zero and I have $1 million in the bank, now I have $900,000 and I have enough money to make it another 9 months with no revenue whatsoever. Now, by the way, that doesn't happen, but the revenue will drop in difficult times. Let's just say it goes to zero. So month one, $900,000 left over. Month two, $800,000. Month three, $700,000. And in that period, if I have zero revenue, I'm going to be thinking about executing a pivot. I can't delude myself. I've got to start thinking about where am I going to get revenue from. So in month 4, after 3 months, I'm down to $700,000. I've got to come up with a new revenue stream, to your point. And what that is, I don't know, because we're talking very subjectively here. But at the end of the day, if I can get that revenue stream to produce $50,000 a month, well, I'm still losing 50. I get it. I'm still losing 50. But my bleeding has slowed down. And now maybe the old line business that went to zero, maybe it starts to come back to 25. So month 4, I'm at 50. I lost 50. At month 5, I'm at 75 because it's starting to come back. And I'm only down 25, and I keep going. What happens, because people don't necessarily understand working capital, is they run out of dough. So to your point of expanding, you absolutely do not want to go for expansion when your working capital is not aligned with what I just said. I want to have too much cash. What do you think happens when you start this new revenue stream?
It costs a lot.
There's no revenue. Let's keep it simple.
Yes.
There's no revenue. It bleeds. So how are you going to withstand that bleeding if you don't have the proper amount of working capital? Working capital is key. Cash is king. So how are you going to do that? Now, it's a great idea, but it's bleeding $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month. I don't know, whatever it is. It's taking your funds down. It's a good idea, and you keep working, and gradually you get the revenue to where it is a revenue stream, and you bring it back up again. What also happens when you start a new business, by the way, the failure rate is right around 70 to 80%. It's not good. And I hear this, people tell me this, multiple streams of income. I hate that idea. I think that is a terrible idea. I want to have one stream of income. I want to get that thing pumping on all 8 cylinders, maximizing everything. And when I get that working capital up to the right level, then I'll go to the second, won't be a stream of income. I'll go to the second thing and I'll make that happen. But the problem with the second stream of income, hope, whatever we're going to call that, is that when we take our eye off the ball of the main business, what do you think might happen?
Customer service could go down.
We're just talking revenue. What's going to happen to my revenue when I go to that second business?
It's going to go down.
Yeah. So it will go down because you took your eye off the ball. So with that in mind, so there's working capital. We need to be attuned to that. But there's another kind of capital, which you won't get. I already know you won't. There's another kind of capital that we need to be really well versed in. And what would that be? Take a guess. Cash is king. What's the second version of capital that we need to really be on top of?
I'm going to guess human capital.
You got it. You got it.
Okay, great.
Human capital. So if you have the right training process in place pre-second stream of income, you'll train somebody to run your business the way you want it to be run, and that revenue may suffer a little bit till he or she gets things together, but basically it won't. And so while they're learning and training, you can be over their shoulder and looking, helping, and making suggestions. Once you get the human capital in place to where the business does appear to be functioning without you, then you go to the next stream of income.
Yep.
That is really important to understand it. So it's cash and it's people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense.
So what happened to me was opportunities came about. And so I was an Oldsmobile Jeep dealer, and Oldsmobile went away. It was devastating. So I had Oldsmobile Jeep, and I finally figured out how to make that sucker make money. And I was making money with just Jeep alone. And then I had an opportunity to get Suzuki because I had made phone calls. When Oldsmobile went away, I made a lot of phone calls, and I talked to the local Suzuki dealer. He had it sold, and he wasn't interested in this and that, and I wasn't interested. He had it sold, but he wanted more than that. I just said I wouldn't pay that for it. So that was the end of that. And then it so happened about a year later, I get a phone call, and the deal had fallen through, and I ended up making a deal, and I got Suzuki. So I had Suzuki, and I learned how to work that franchise. I didn't go after other franchises. I had Suzuki, and we hit it out of the park.
You had the human capital ready, and you had.
I did. Yep. I did. I had the I had the teams training. I had the cash because we made a lot of money. I had the cash. And the biggest mistake I think an owner can make is to this multiple streams of income bullcrap. I think it's bullcrap. I think it's a bad idea. I'm not going to do it. I wouldn't recommend it. I would say maximize what you have. It's like trying to do 2 workouts at the same time. How the heck you can do that? I'm going to run. I'm going to lift weights. Good luck with that. I would suggest you lift weights. Just do that. And when you're done lifting weights, if you want to run, go run. And then just do that. But you can't do both. I remember something Ty Lopez said. His grandmother told him. And I'm honoring him by recognizing him. But he said his grandmother told him, Ty, you can have anything in the world that you want. Anything. But you can't have everything. And I love that. You can't go east and west. Massive chill. You can't go east and west at the same time. It's impossible. So how is multiple streams of income even realistic? If you think about it, you're getting a second stream of income because you want to make money, but you're already not maximizing the profit in your business.
Yeah.
Make sense?
That does make sense.
So we have cash, we have people, and the business is humming. It's humming. Long answer to a short question.
Yeah. So that looked like for you, you had Oldsmobile, you got Suzuki. When did you go to your second dealership?
I had an opportunity to trade my Jeep franchise for the Kia franchise. The guy that had this Kia franchise really wanted Jeep because he was a Chrysler Group dealer, and I was a single-point Jeep dealer, and it wasn't really the best idea from the factory perspective. So I got an opportunity to make this deal. So I traded my Jeep franchise to get the Kia franchise. But again, the opportunity came to me.
Yeah.
It presented itself because I had such a great reputation with Suzuki, and we were doing a great job with, we were doing a reasonable job with Jeep.
Yeah,
we were reasonable job with Jeep used cars. We were doing very well. So then I got Kia, and here's an interesting story. Now I'm a Kia dealer. And we, as part of the deal, we got the former Chrysler building right across the road from Suzuki. Now we put Kia in that building there.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not cool because we proceeded to lose money. We just couldn't make it work. But I had a vision. I had an idea. And I can remember very clearly the factory said, Jim, you got to change. Your idea is not working. I said, I'm not going to change. I said, I already know it's going to work. I know it's going to work. No, I'm going to stick to my guns. And I stuck to my guns. But I lost money in the process, and it became less and less. And then we finally started making money.
How did you know it was going to work? Did you know it on paper?
I know processes.
Yep.
It was my process. See, I had a process. That's, again, maybe I should. Right. So maybe it should be cash. Okay. You get that, right?
People.
Processes.
Yep.
I knew my process would work.
Yep.
And I just wasn't winning favor with the marketplace. So Kia came to me and they said, you got to change. This isn't working. I said, I'm not changing. I'm going to do what I do. And all of a sudden, man, it started to happen. And we hit it out of the park. We were one of the biggest Kia dealerships in the country. And I was at a Kia national dealer meeting. And this fellow, I'll leave his name off of it. Name's Luke, by the way. Luke comes up to me. Seriously, his name's Luke. And he says, he's got tears in his eyes. He says, Jim, I want to apologize to you. I am so sorry. I tried to talk you out of your ideas. And I said, and look at you now. We were one of the biggest Kia dealerships in the country because I stuck to my guns. And then it was making money. So now we have a Kia dealership and we have a Suzuki dealership. And then the worst recession since the Great Depression occurred. And believe it or not,
sounds bad for a guy with only 2 dealerships, right?
No, that wasn't the problem. That had nothing to do with it. The fact is, though, the new car market went from 16 million cars a year down to 10 million. And so it was a tough time. But I saw that as an opportunity. And I actually designed, early on with the Great Recession,
right.
I designed a prosperity plan. And I decided that I was going to prosper during this recession. And the idea being, I told my team, I said, I'll lose a lot of money. Here's what I'm able to lose. I knew it because I had my eye on the cash. And I said to my team, I said, I will lose this much money and I'll be fine. I'm not going to give you the number.
Sure.
But it was a big number. But here's what I'm going to do. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. Number 1, we're going to train during the recession. Number 2, we're going to treat our customers better than we've ever treated our customers in the history of the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group. Number 3, we're going to be very aggressive with our advertising. We're going to be very aggressive with our inventories. While other dealers cut back on advertising, we upped it. While other dealers cut back on inventory, we found bargains out there. We also found bargains with the advertising. We're going to keep the pedal to the metal. And when we come out of this recession, I wanted to be a better team than I was going in, figuring because of the recession, there would be opportunities. It turned out that the opportunities, unbeknownst to me, were within the recession. And we made more money during the Great Recession than all the previous years of the Jim Shorkey, it was called Courtesy at the time, all the years combined. We made more money during the Great Recession in one year than all the previous years combined. We're talking about a 20-year-old company. And that's figuring in that there were years where we lost money, years where we didn't make a lot of money, and blah, blah, blah. But we made a lot of money because there is opportunity in adversity. And so when I come out of the recession, because I did so well, I got noticed. And that's how I got the Chrysler Group store, because Chrysler Group...
You were at 2 dealerships at that time?
Yeah, 2.
And then when your third came during the recession, or where did that third?
Towards the end of it. That's when Chrysler declared bankruptcy, and there was an open point available, meaning that they wanted a dealer in this location, and I applied for it. And I had such a great reputation with selling Suzukis and Kias that I got awarded the franchise.
Wow.
And so that was the second franchise. And then, so what we did was we took the Chrysler building and we completely rehabbed that for Chrysler standards, and we built a brand new Kia dealership. So now on Route 30, there's Kia, Chrysler Group, and now it's Mitsubishi because Suzuki went away. That's a whole nother story. Right. But there's 3 dealerships right there in North Huntington. There's the Mitsubishi store. Across the road is the Chrysler Group store, and then down the road is the Kia store. And it's all that stuff's basically brand new. And then later on, we acquired Ford. It was an opportunity, and I actually had to buy that. And so we have a Ford dealership I shouldn't say we, the kids do, I'm retired. But we have a Ford dealership in White Oak, Pennsylvania. And then we had an opportunity to get an open point in Uniontown.
Yeah.
And so we have Kia, and we have Kia and Mitsubishi in Uniontown. So there's additional stores. But the opportunities were out there.
Yeah.
And I was able to take advantage of them. Why? Because I had the people, I had the cash, and I had the processes.
Yeah.
My processes work everywhere.
And you're teaching things that I've read in so many business books of you have to have people, product, and process. Obviously, you had a great product from these dealers.
Just don't forget cash.
Yep.
Cash is king. You'll go bankrupt starting a second business. Literally. You'll go bankrupt because the main business, you have your eye off that ball, and the new business is going to fail. It fails initially. It's hard. So you could go bankrupt starting a new business. You got to be very careful with that cash. I'm telling you. I would like to see, before I expand, I want to be cash heavy. Like, I have too much cash. Now I'm confident that I can move forward. And like when Kia said to me, you better change. If I didn't have enough cash, they would have been right. But I had the cash to be able to withstand the losses so that I could then go forward with Kia and really kick it out of the park. Hit it out of the park.
Wow, Jim, this was really good. I don't think I've heard bits and pieces of stories, but I've never heard them in such a concise way of thinking about cash, thinking about working capital, making sure that's connected well, making sure your human capital is there, making sure you know your strategy, right? Making sure you're double down on it. The Great Recession.
Don't give in to the nonsense. If you have a process that you know works, keep doing the process. And when you're doing it 100% execution or pretty darn close, and it stops working, then that's when you do the pivot, but not until then.
Yep.
And let's not forget, 2 years ago, I did have a very serious hemorrhagic stroke. I did have 3 brain bleeds. I shoulda, coulda, woulda died. And here I am talking about this. And this is all extemporaneous. And I do have my heavy mug. And this is 22 pounds.
That thing is heavy,
This
guys.
is heavy.
I tried that this morning.
So I
It was
got
like,
this idea because one of the things I'm working on is my strength, my grip strength. And I'm not gripping it in the conventional sense of gripping, but I've got it, I'm holding it, and it's hard. And I'm not drinking out of it, but believe me, one thing I've had to learn with this, I'm learning. Do you hear me? I'm learning. And I've had to learn how to get this thing in a position where I'm not spilling coffee all over Jim Shorkey. It's hard. So I take this outside, in my chair outside, I'm in the sun, which is a good idea. I put this on the ground, so I do a body weight squat with 22 pounds to get it on the ground. Then I go make my coffee, and I put it in a mug, and then I got to sit in the chair and figure out a way to get this thing off the ground up to here and then drink from it without spilling it. And so I'm engaging my core. My arms right now, they're very engaged. And these are the kind of things that I'm doing. Now look at this move here. That's a hard move. That's a hard move. It hurts my obliques. It hurts my arms. It's a hard move. But my point behind that is that with having had the stroke, I've done a lot of studying in what I can do to recover from the stroke. And these guys can tell you that already today, you can't imagine what I've done so far today.
yeah.
Just doing it. I started off when I came out of the hospital with physical therapy once a week. I wanted that to go to two a week, and I'm now at 4 a week. And I actually have a certified physical therapist / trainer who trains me, and he beats the living crap out of me. And so when you see me the way I look right now, and the way I can move my hands and the way I can talk, your thoughts might be, you didn't have a stroke, you're full of crap. Some people have told me that, but I did, and here I am. And so that's a lesson in business. What can I do today that my future Jim Shorkey is going to be grateful for? What can I do today that my future Jim Shorkey is going to be grateful for? What can I stop doing today that my future Jim Shorkey is going to be grateful for? Now, how does that apply to business? Everywhere. What are the things we need to do to make this business hum? What do we need to do? What are the things we need to stop doing to make this business hum? And we get that information from where, Derek?
Expert counsel.
Expert counsel. Thank you.
Yes.
That's it. Find somebody who has done what you want to do successfully and have a conversation. My somebody was Mr. Hamilton. Makes me cry. I miss that guy. But I was in a bad place. And I went into Mr. Hamilton and I asked him what I should be doing. And I asked him for a list of 10 things that I should be doing to be a successful automobile dealer. And I came back the next day and he presented me with a list. When I was in the hospital on my back, I was in a lot of pain. I had a bad stroke and this and that. And I said to my kids and my wife and my family, my friends, I said, I am going to do what I did. And for my part in building the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group, that's what I'm going to do to reclaim the Jim Shorkey body. Sawdust per council, this is one of those ideas. This is symbolic, but it is one of those ideas. What happens as we age is we lose muscle mass. That ain't happening to Jim Shorkey. I'm also very big on protein these days. I do a lot of protein, a lot of protein. I'll prove it to Derek and Luke as we go through this day. Anyways, what can I do today? That's the question. And then get going. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yes. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, guys. I'll see you on the next episode.